Dear students, welcome to all of you in this video lesson of B.Ed first year of Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. Today, we will have a discussion on reading skill, purpose of reading, types of reading, speed of reading, and last, characteristics of a good reader. The topic is prescribed in the third unit. The name of the unit is Reading Comprehension and Writing Skills. This course, Communicative English, is for both regular and distance mode students of B.Ed. This video lesson will enable you to understand what is the reading skill, to know purpose of reading, to understand the types of reading, speed reading, and you will be familiar with which are the characteristics of a good reader. For an introduction, reading is a pertinent receptive skill. In our last video, we would be discussing that reading and listening are the main pertinent skills. They were using as a receptive skill. Receptive skill in the sense we use these skills for getting the information from the other sources. Then reading may be defined as an act of receiving meaning from the written form. In the reading process, we will be receiving meaning from the written forms. We will see what Mr. Bacon says about reading. Reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. From these quotes of Francis Bacon, we will be understanding what is the importance of reading skill. Now let us see what Goldman is telling about reading. Reading is a psycho-linguistic game. While reading, memory of the students, the mental capacity of the students will be evolving. That is what he was discussing in his quotes. But define that reading is a thinking process. We know that while reading, we will be interpreting the meaning. We will be seeing which are the grammar is being used, which way it is being written. Therefore, we can say that reading is a thinking process. Reading comprehension is an understanding and interpretation of what is read. What is the difference from reading comprehension from reading is, absolutely in reading comprehension, understanding would be there and interpretation of the text also will be there. From these Edgar Dale calls reading on the line, reading between the line and reading beyond the line respectively. This is the importance of reading comprehension we would be understanding from Edgar Dale's quotes. In a reading comprehension, there are three levels a reader is going through. First one, literal meaning. When we read a text, we will be seeing which are the grammar is being used, which are the structure is being used. After that, we will be interpreting the meaning of the text. Last, what we will be doing? We will be evaluating the meaning of the text. After evaluation, we will be understanding that okay, the text is good, text is marvelous, text is wonderful. Now let us see what are the purpose of reading. You know, to get an information, we would be using a text. For another purpose, to drive a pleasure. It is an example, while we are reading a novel, we would get a pleasure from reading it. That is one of the main purpose of reading, to get a pleasure from the text. Third one, to enrich language experience. In the case of linguistic or language students, usually use in this purpose language experience. The last, to get a general idea of the content. They will be getting, after reading that, we will be having the general content, general idea about the text. Then somebody might be using that it is for criticizing the text. What is a grammatical style? Which idea? What is the information level the writer is having or author is having? These are the things we will be using for reading. To write, writing purpose we will be using for the write exclusively for the authors, they will be using this for writing purposes. Now we will be discussing about types of reading. The types of reading absolutely a reader will be using about the nature of the content, interest of the reader, and which purpose he is using that reading. This depends which types of reading he will be using in his reading. This is we will be understanding more from Francis Bacon's quote. He is telling that some books are to be tasted, you see, other to be swallowed, and some to be chewed and digested. As far as the books are concerned, some are more informative, some are less informative, some are in between too. In the case of these, some text we should be chewed about, some text should be digested, some to be tasted and swallowed. These are quotes given by Francis Bacon. It's a marvelous quotes, I think. Next, intensive reading. It is a process of reading to understand every detail of the text to extract specific information. We use this kind of a reading like intensive reading for getting extract or specific information from the text. Usually a research article we will be using for that purpose. Reports we will be using for that purpose. What is a research article? In the research article, the evaluator usually what he or she will do, he will be seeing the objectives first. Based on the objectives and hypothesis, whether the writing style is good, whether the research finding is based on the objectives or hypothesis given by the researcher, this will be using exclusively for research article purpose and reports writing purposes. In an extensive reading, it is a process of reading to drive pleasure. It refers to reading longer text like novels, short stories which take a longer time. Usually it is happening to the reader. When we are reading a novels or short stories, it will take a time to complete the text. Next we will be coming to the silent reading. Silent reading is a reading type where reader read a text without producing sound audible to the others. In silent reading is the most effective type of reading because it has long time effect. You know, we will not be producing sound while we are using the silent reading. Usually it is using in our secondary level of the students. Primarily we will not be in the primary level case, we will not be using silent reading. We will be checking the concentration level, the comprehension level. We will be using silent reading in the classroom exclusively for the secondary students. In the case of loud reading means reading printed or written material by producing sound audible to the others. In the case of loud reading, we usually use in primary levels. We will be checking their pronunciation style. For that sake, we will be using loud reading in our primary classes. Next, skimming. Skimming is an activity in which the reader glances through a text material to catch a general idea or gist of it without attending to details. Here I have given one example for this. This is a wonderful example. Usually when we go to the library, what a reader will do? He will see the content. He will go through the first and second page or last page of the text. Then he will be deciding whether he wants that text or not. Based on the content level, based on the first views, he will be deciding that okay, I want this, I would like to have this book. This is a skimming process we usually do when in the case of the library. Scanning is a kind of reading in order to find out specific information from a loads of information. In a details of information, we want to have a little informations. In that case, we usually use scanning. We will scan the text. Even you see in the case of biography, you see the scientist biography, you will be finding there. Only we would like to have a birthday of this scientist. Then we have to go for the different test. Exclusively we will come in the concentration of the last, what is his date of birth. We will be concluding that these are the date. Next we will be coming to the telephone number from telephone directory. In the telephone directory we usually see different numbers a large amount of numbers we will be finding. For our purpose, we will be scanning, okay, we want a number from this Abdul Qadir or Abdul Rahims. Then we will be encountering the number of the Abdul Qadir, our scanning will be over. Speed reading is a process of rapidly recognizing and absorbing phrases or sentences on a page at once rather than identifying individual words. We will not be, while reading speed, we will not be reading individual words. Our concentration will be on absorbing phrases or sentences. Speed of reading. One most brilliant example is that Swami Vivekananda, he is a famous personality, philosopher. Within his 40 years, he read all Upanishad, all Vedas and Indian philosophy. This is a marvelous, wonderful example we can quote here, Swami Vivekananda in the case of speed reading. Within his short span of 40 years age, wonderfully he read everything, Upanishad, philosophy and everything. Speed reading helps us to absorb information quickly and effectively. Nelson Wood was one of the pioneers of speed reading. She claimed that she could read up to 2700 words per minute if she swept a finger along the line as she reads. Now we will be seeing which are the causes of slow reading. Usually it happens to us. Are you getting this one? Slow reading, usually it happens to us as a reader. What is the problem for that? What is the causes for that? We usually read word by word reading. Then vocalization. Vocalization in the sense that in the vocalization we will be reading, well, we will be thinking, we will be in our mind, we will be keeping the things. Inefficient eye movements and fear of losing comprehension. These are the causes for slow reading. First one is word by word reading, vocalization, inefficient eye movements, fear of losing comprehension. Now we will be coming to the characteristics of a good reader. You know which are the characteristics of a good reader? You may be one of them, you may be having the style of a good character. We will be checking whether you are adopting, whether you are having the quality of a good reader. First one, he knows the purpose of reading. The good reader, he knows the purpose of reading, why he is reading for, what is the purpose, whether he wants to write an examination, whether he is preparing for the competitive examination, what is the style of reading, he knows, the good reader knows what is the purpose of reading. Second one, he or she varies speed of reading depending upon the purpose of reading. He may read, he or she may read slowly, he or she may read fastly based on the purpose of reading. He would like to have a right examination, he will be having large amount of books in front of that time, he will be reading very speedily, that is very specific, that apparent thing. A good reader uses techniques of reading. I already talked to you what is the scanning and skimming process. A good reader usually use scanning and skimming process while he is reading. Scanning for specific information we will be having. For general information we are using scanning. A good reader usually use scanning purpose when he is reading a text. Then guesses the meaning of new words. He will not be looking at the dictionary for all the word meanings. What he usually do? He usually guesses the meaning of new words. A good reader thinks beyond the test. He will not be, his concentration will not be on the test only. His concentration will be on the beyond the test. What is the idea? Then he relates this content with the test he might have read before reading this test. If he or she uses prior knowledge to make connections, this is what I was telling that, but while we are reading a test, our knowledge will be connecting with the knowledge which we read already. We would be having different knowledge, we will be connecting while reading the test. This is a good quality of a good reader. He has the ability to summarize the test. He is having a caliber to summarize the test. Once his reading gets over, what a good reader usually do? He summarize the test. What is the main points it is being discussed in the test? which are the things I can adopt from the test, which are the things exclusively for my life. These are the things that usually a reader will do while summarizing the test. He thinks critically about what is given in test. He usually will not be adopting the points as such. He see the critically the things, based on the critical visions he adopt the things which are practicable for him. He knows when he has to zone out, stopping or paying attention. The good reader knows the place where he has to stop the reading. Dear students, in this video lesson we discussed what is the reading skill, what are the purpose of reading, which are the types of reading and speed reading. Last, which are the characteristics of a good reader. You can read more about this topic from the books and other resources you are watching on your screen. You can contact us on this address. That's all for today's class. We will be meeting in the next class with another topic. Till then, goodbye students.